Cheers, my wonderful people. Finally, the people, Buhari and his organization, his ministers, we scam Nigeria about Nigerian Airline. Now they don't confess, say no be buy them buy the airline. In fact, make una hear wetin they talk, and make una hear wetin Nigerian senators they tell them. Now senators they tell them say that thing wey una do na fraud, na confirm fraud. Una they use Nigeria the way una take lack. They say na social media na ain't cast that update. Abeg make una help me share this video. Now so we go dey expose them one by one.
The aircraft that came in and left was a legitimate charter flight. Any one of us here, if we have a destination wedding in Senegal, we can charter an aircraft. You don't need to have a license to do that. You just charter an aircraft. And the aircraft, you pay for it, it'll be brought here, take your passengers, and off you go. And that is what we did. But in this case, it was to unveil, you see, ever since 2018, all you'd ever seen about Nigeria aircraft were pictures, drawings, not the real aircraft. And we felt it was time to show what the real aircraft would look like, and also to let shareholders, you see, we have institutional investors. They're not in aviation, but they're putting their money in here for, say, 10, 15 years and to exit maybe at a premium. So they need to see what the actual aircraft will look like. So we brought it in here to show them what the aircraft would look like. Then the social media dimension came into it, and I'll address them point by point. One, it's Ethiopian registered. Why is it Ethiopian registered? Well, for a start, to operate aircraft in Nigeria, they must be Nigerian registered. 5 November, we call it, okay? That aircraft was not 5 November registered because it was a charter flight. And it came in with just a few days clearance and off it went. For us to get this license, which is my mandate, I don't want to use technical terms, we must, amongst other things, have 3 aircraft before this NCA will give us a license. And those 3 aircraft must be Nigerian registered aircraft. There are 5 phases, 5 steps that one goes through.
The Ministry of Aviation and the interim management of Nigeria Air. We are before the Senate Committee on Aviation to answer questions on the status of the nation's national carrier, Nigeria Air, which was unveiled during the twilight of the Buhari administration. But questions have been raised about the whereabouts of the aircraft and the status of the airline after some Nigerians traced the aircraft, noting that it returned to Ethiopian Airline service. These senators have strong words for the representatives of the Aviation Ministry over the manner Nigeria Air was launched.
The Nigeria Air project. The issue was shrouded in secrecy to the extent that it was fraudulently displayed as a new national carrier, contrary to the extant court order and international rules that strictly guided airline operations. This indeed was an embarrassment to the committee.
Why will you, for whatever reason, having an interim MD, be in a hurry to unveil a national carrier on the last day of your administration? Why?
But the interim managing director, Nigeria Air, says the airline was unveiled at the time it was to prove to Nigerians that the project is not a fluke.
The aircraft that came in and left was a legitimate charter flight. You see, ever since 2018, all you'd ever seen about Nigeria Air aircraft were pictures, drawings, not the real aircraft. And we felt it was time to show what the real aircraft would look like.
Was it reasonably necessary? You know, you have to take this to take taxpayers' money and charter an aircraft all the way from Ethiopia to come here and for unveiling. If the purpose is just to show Nigerians how the aircraft is going to. We have had the pictures on social media when it was unveiled in Fambro.
He also clarifies what he says are misconceptions of the status of a national carrier.
We haven't got a license yet to operate. If you had asked me the question, I could, not you, I mean, if the social media had asked me the question, I would have said, we haven't got to that stage yet. We are not at the point of operating the airline yet, at all.
The representatives from the Aviation Ministry and Nigeria Air then proceed to the House of Representatives to meet with the lower chambers Aviation Committee. The committee chairman says members do not support the launch of the airline because of a lack of supporting and necessary documents.
We are not part of the launch and we do not support the launch, especially at a time issues are yet to be cleared. The committee hereby resolved to 1. Direct the Federal Ministry of Aviation and its partners in the Nigerian Air project to immediately suspend any operations regarding to Nigerian Air and every other actions with respect to Nigerian Air.
The committee further advises that the Federal Ministry of Aviation, with its agency, the NCAA, should designate some Nigerian indigenous airlines as carriers to take advantage of bilateral air services agreements entered into by Nigeria, pending when a viable national carrier comes on board.